And 300 side piecing together new clues in the Jackson Bribery case, even as new court documents remain sealed. Now we're starting to see what kind of defense Jackson's former mayor could be mounting. Investigative reporter C.J. LeMaster joins us with what he's found. C.J.?
Howard, former Jackson Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba wants the 5 charges against him dropped. And while we don't know what he'll be arguing because those filings are under seal, we are piecing together clues from documents his alleged co-conspirator released just weeks ago. Now, the scandal involves a scheme to get a downtown Jackson Convention Center hotel approved with out-of-state developers who in reality were undercover FBI agents. Investigators allege Hinds County DA Jody Owens was the ringleader here, orchestrating bribes to get the projects passed. Surveillance video showed Lumumba allegedly receiving tens of thousands of dollars in campaign donations as part of the scheme. Now, weeks ago, Owens filed a motion to dismiss himself, alleging entrapment and claiming the FBI agent lied. But there was one key point Owens and Lumumba appear to share, and that's what we uncovered. FBI agent Lawrence Correll. Now, documents show he was the case agent on the bribery scandal. Owens alleged that Correll lied to the grand jury, the same testimony that later led to indictments against Lumumba, Owens, and former Ward 6 Councilman Aaron Banks. Court documents show Correll said that Owens wasn't a target before July of 2023, but interview transcripts show that months earlier, Correll tried to pressure former JPD officer Torrance Mayfield to give up incriminating information on Owens by threatening to unseal an indictment against him. Now, this happened while Mayfield worked for the DA. The defense says this means Owens was a target months earlier. Now, Lumumba hasn't spelled out his defense strategy, but his filings exhibits suggest he'll argue the same agent lied about him as well. 3 on Your Side contacted Lumumba's attorney, Thomas Bellender, for comment. He hasn't gotten back to us. The government must still respond to Lumumba's filing, but that response will also be sealed. Howard?